Okay, that was Carly from Skinner and Twitch. And here, I'm really pleased to have Skinner and Twitch. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hello there.
Hello, everyone.
My name's Steve Skinner.
I'm Sandra Twitchett.
And together we're called Skinner and Twitch. That's our stage name. Twitch is a nickname for Sandra that she's chosen to use.
Yeah, because my maiden name is Twitchett, if you're wondering. That's where Twitch comes from.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. And so, how did you start in music? Sandra, how did you start?
Well, my mum was a professional trumpeter, and my great grandma actually played for Clara Butt. Most people won't know that. So music's in my blood, music's in my family, and I've always really, just I have to do it. I think you don't necessarily start. I think you just always are, And
that's a great description.
In and out of folk clubs, and eventually I met the musician that I was looking for.
And then she met me.
Then I met Steve. Funny enough. Yeah, I've been looking for. I'm going to embarrass him now, but I've been looking for a really good, excellent songwriter, singer-songwriter, and I met Steve in a music venue in Headingley in Leeds let's say about 12 years ago now. And I thought, that's going to work. I thought I can see us together, the musical chemistry, the personal chemistry, and went from there.
For myself, I found myself writing songs as a teenager, angst, love songs and all that sort of stuff. And in my 20s, I got work in theatre companies as a songwriter and part-time actor. And it was great fun, writing to existing scripts and being given lyrics that you have to write tunes for. Sometimes the director would say, could you write this, Steve, in a 1930s style? So yeah, no problem. How long have I got? I said, well, by tomorrow at 4:00, that sort of thing.
No rush.
Yeah, no rush, no pressure there.
He always says he hates that, but actually I think he really enjoys it.
Yeah, it's a great challenge. And so I worked in theatre companies on and off for about 12 years, some of the time writing music. So I'd like to think in our act now we're drawing on like musicals and theatre kind of traditions. Our catchphrase is folk, flamenco and theatre style songs. We're both interested in theatre, and I'd like to think that comes through. People say we're like a vaudeville act.
Well, it certainly came through to me. I was saying earlier to you, I mean, it comes through very much as very theatrical, which is a compliment. really enjoy it. Yeah,
we're playing a lot of folk clubs. I think sometimes people don't quite know how to react, because we do a lot of comedy, and then we do 3 or 4 comedy songs in a row, and then suddenly we'll do quite an intense lyrical song, with hopefully powerful words and strong feelings. And it can have quite an impact, that mix. I'm very interested in the idea of combining very different types of songs in one act.
Variety is the name of the game with us, really. So if people come to a live show, it will keep changing and changing and changing. And it keeps it interesting. And it keeps it interesting for us too. If you're playing regularly live. And also for me, I've got classical training vocally. And these songs are a great challenge because I'm having to switch styles from something that's very light and lyrical to something that's very rocky, then to something that's like a theatre piece. And it requires versatility from me, which is, I enjoy that challenge. Interesting.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's great. So shall we go on to the next song, which the second song, what would you like to play?
How about Silent the Night, which is, there's a couple of songs in our repertoire that are in the kind of what I would describe as the very gentle wing of what we do in Skinner and Twitch, and this is one of them. And it's very it's like the spirit of magic at Christmas and stardust. It's I love that atmosphere that's created within the song. Right. It's a Christmas song, and I don't know whether you know, but with in Skinner and Twitch, we release a Christmas song or a festive song annually. Really, we have done since 2015, and we had an EP released 2019 called "The Bells of Christmas," and this was one of the tracks that was included in that.
Okay, so Silent the Night.
Silent, silent the night, silent and holy, so bright. In winter's deep, the world's asleep this Christmas night.
Magic, magic in the air, candles and dreaming everywhere. Beneath the snow, our fires glow this Christmas night.
Santa, Santa, my friend, help make this peace never end. In winter's chill, the world is still this Christmas night. Hear the angels high in heaven send us love each day. Shield us, guide us deep inside us, help us find the way. Silent, silent the night, silent and holy, so bright. In winter's deep, the world's asleep this Christmas night.
We walk in a winter wonderland, neath the frosty stars. You take my hand across the snow, our hearts aglow this Christmas night.
Hear the angels high in heaven send us love each day. Shield us, guide us deep inside us, help us find the way. Dreaming, dreaming this eve of building a world where I believe there's a peace to never cease this Christmas night. Santa, Santa, my friend, help make this peace never end. I'll do my part with open heart this Christmas night. There's a peace to never cease this Christmas night.
Okay, that was Silent the Night. So how would you describe your style?
Well, it's, as Sandra was saying earlier on, it's a right mix, to be honest, because sometimes we do quite theatrical songs, drawing on musical traditions, other times quite lyrical songs like the one that you've just heard, very gentle in atmosphere. Twitch has got a background, as she mentioned, as a classical singer. So it means that for some of our numbers in the studio, that is, we're able to add layers and layers of, to me, very sophisticated harmonies. I'm out of my depth with it, but Twitch gets involved in all that sort of thing, which is really great. And it's almost like a bit of a signature, very big choral choruses, which I think are lovely, which really kind of adds a particular depth to it. And equally, another aspect of what we're doing musically is that I play 2 flamenco guitars in our act, not at the same time. And they're both from a music shop in Granada in southern Spain. So it's the real thing. And they're lovely instruments. And they had a very bright, at times kind of quite harsh sound. I'm learning flamenco.
Yeah,
and we
very percussive, aren't they? Yeah.
They are, that's right. And we bring just a hint of that. We say a flash of flamenco or a taste of flamenco. We're not doing the the classical flamenco dance rhythms particularly, but I'm kind of drawing on some of the playing techniques in the style of playing.
And I'm a bit of a rock chick on the side, really, a folk rock chick. So some of what we do is quite rocky, which I love. And we've got an album coming out next year, as soon as possible next year, probably in the summer, called The Song Catcher, which is a group of rocky songs. Steve wrote some songs and I thought to myself, crikey, they sound very REM. They deserve a rock treatment. Steve doesn't know who REM are,
I had to look them up.
But I thought they really deserve a rock treatment. So we've brought them together in the Song Catcher album, and that represents that part of what we do. I think with us, it's very difficult to describe because we sing in a variety of styles. We're under the folk banner or folk acoustic banner, but really we're a lot more than that.
Yeah. So what sort of gigs are you playing? Are you playing folk clubs or theatres or what?
Yes, some folk clubs and art centres like the Witham in Barnard Castle. That was a lovely gig that we did back in October. And we've got a couple of great gigs coming up. For instance, the Golden Hind in London, the ship on Drake's ship on the South Bank. Yeah. That'll be very interesting. And we played an open air theatre in Brighton, various festivals in circus tents, for instance. That comes into my mind. So all sorts of different environments.
We normally get up to the Edinburgh Festival, the Fringe. We're kind of on the fringe of the fringe. It's playing lovely small venues, great, cracking, absolutely packed. And it's great when you're playing acoustically to an audience, without a PA or anything. I love that atmosphere, very intense.
Yeah, certainly. How have you found COVID's affected this?
Well, it's been pretty devastating, to be honest, as it has for many musicians. When it first hit, which was over a year ago now, we decided to react rather than just sort of hide. And Sandra's very good on the internet, and we started an online music club to raise money for food banks.
Pick and Mix Social Club.
That's right. Every week. And artists played for free and listeners donated where they wanted to. And it was amazing because I think we got in early with that when many musicians were reeling from the situation and perhaps aren't quite as good on IT as what Sandra is. And we got offers for people to play quite big names in the English folk scene, and people from like California over in the States saying, hey, can we play on your show? And all that sort of thing. We were very flattered.
And I thought initially, probably like a lot of people, I felt quite shocked initially by what was going on. And I thought, well, how can we kind of push back here? How can we kind of
do something?
Take control? Yeah. And we managed to raise £3,500 over that period.
That is fantastic.
We were knocked out.
Isn't that?
It felt like we were doing something productive in a difficult time. And that was for the We Shall Overcome movement. So it reached homeless people in Ashton-on-Lyne and also Leeds food banks.
That's fantastic. I mean, that is one of the really big advantages of the internet, isn't it? That we've been able to reach so many people. Yeah,
that's true. I think it's really opened that up. It's quite exciting that it's done that because everybody's doing online gigs now. Yeah,
sure. Okay, song number 3, track 3.
Okay, that's The Aging Special Agent.
Oh,
and Steve.
Well, I'm getting on a bit in my years now, and I just thought it'd be fun to satirise myself. Really, not that I ever thought I was like James Bond, but this image of Bond, it just seemed a lovely idea to wonder how James Bond might be in his older years when he's on a pension and probably touring with his caravan and things like that. I just thought that with satire, it's often about mixing different worlds together and can create a lot of humour. And that's what we're trying to do in this song. Sandra dressed up as Shirley Bassey and puts on a Shirley Bassey voice style for this song.
I get to do my shell.
That's right. And we did a video of it in a nightclub with all the lights and everything, a bit of spoof acting.
Yeah,
up
that's
the back.
worth checking out on floor to ceiling sequins
So
That's on our website.
where can we see this?
Good question.
on skinnerandtwitch.com.
Yeah.
That's our website. If you go to the videos section, that's one of the videos that's on there. It's quite amusing, even if I do say so myself.
Right. I'll be there. Okay, so the aging special agent.
Well, he's a man, does what he can, gives me such thrills once he's had his pills. Oh, he's the guy, lives life so high, champagne he'll choose once he's had a snooze, always deals an ace, loves a high-speed chase, special agent class, with a pensioner pass. 007 of the SAS, highly trained to attack, but for a fight he won't say yes, in case he strains his back. 007 of the SAS, paid to kill for us, but he'll forget to bring the address and probably miss the bus. Well, he's a man, does what he can, eats lots of bran, draws his pension plan. His gun is gold, but he feels the cold. His aim is best with a thermal vest. When he traps a spy, looks him in the eye, then sets him free in time for tea. King of casinos, dressed to kill, places bets and then drinks martinis, shaken not stirred, and goes to bed at 10. Paraglides and bravely rides a speedboat through the fire, saves the world, gets the girl, but now wants to retire. Draws his pension plan on the stair-lift chair. His speed will scare. Yes, he's a spy who will never die. For though he's old, no sign of mold, he's still so bold. His gun is gold. And he's my
man. Thank you.
That was Aging Special Agent. And yes, I could identify to some extent, not with the James Bond bit, but with the aging part.
Listeners might want to check out our Everybody's Grotty album that comes from, because part of what we do is comical and satirical. Well, songwriting is Steve's part, but music, and that album brings together some of that repertoire, and it's a bit of a laugh, really.
So, and we can find all these on your website, which can.
That's right.
So, shall we give the listeners the title of the website again?
Yes, it's skinnerandtwitch.com with AND for and, not the
Okay.
ampersand.
skinnerandtwitch.com. Yeah,
Right.
skinnerandtwitch.com. So and find out presumably all your CDs or all your tracks.
That's right. If they want to go to either music or shop on there, then it will take them through to a Bandcamp page where everything that we've ever put out is on that page, singles and albums.
Okay, right. I've been listening to some of your recordings, and sometimes there's just the two of you playing some really nice guitar work, I'll say, Steve. And but other times you're using other musicians. How do you get those musicians together, or do you?
Well, that's quite a story. We used to get people in and all sit together, practice at home first and warm up and things, and then be together in the studio. We use the studio in North Leeds, but with COVID, we've had to resort to remote recording, which is quite an experience, really. Twitch is brilliant at organising all that.
Thank you.
For example, we have a percussionist in Leeds, we have a keyboard player near York, we have a brilliant bass player who's in Bingley, and sometimes we're sending them sort of like a first version from us, and they would have their instrument, their layer, and then we'd get that one tidied up a bit and then send it out to another musician. So for some of the tracks, amazingly, we haven't all sat together and played it at the same time. And I can only say I'm so impressed with these musicians to be able to handle that situation, and with great creativity. For me, it doesn't come across as mechanical or just doing a job. I think they're all inspired musicians.
And I think it's fair to say, part of our musical journey is that when we started out in 2014, it was just us. And you've got a lot to learn when you start doing this. You've got to learn how to be in the studio and how to produce, as well as how to actually get a CD together, because there's all the different aspects and dimensions of that. But on our musical journey, we started as two, and then over the years, as we grew in confidence and started to get more and more experimental with what we were doing in the studio and with the songs and in our albums, we started to look out for really excellent musicians around us, and we found them. I mean, we're regularly using, it's John Armisen on drums and Hugh Bradley on bass and mandolin, and the marvelous Joshua Burnell on keys. And these three musicians are kind of very staple for us now, and they're just fantastic. But we've also had some marvelous. We've had Cohen Braithwaite Kilcoyne, who's a stupendous folk musician. He played on the Fool's Journey album. He plays concertina
and
melodia. With fine piano accordionists, lead guitarists, saxophonists. So it's got more and more interesting in a way, because the sky's the limit now.
There are some really stunning musicians in the area, aren't there? I think I'm constantly, amazed isn't quite the right word, but I really appreciate the work of a lot of musicians in this area. Really, it's good that if you can use them, it's great. So when you're writing your own music, are you writing them, or are you writing them, Sandra, or do you do it together? How's the dynamic work for that?
He's the songwriter, 100%, because he's the kind of person that it's quite rare, I think, who is woken up at night by a lyric. I think it just pours out of Steve. I'm very much a singer, but our songs often come out of conversations between
that's right.
us. And ideas that we chew
Absolutely.
over.
Often Twitch comes up with an amazing sort of one-liner, like "we need a new year." I thought, oh, that's terrific. There's a song, just around that single line kind of thing.
That's great. That's great. And Sandra, you're putting a lot of the harmonies in though. I mean, I think, you shouldn't say I don't write the songs. If you're doing the harmonies, that's a whole other.
I don't mind not writing the songs, because I I don't see it as any second best. You know, I think that you either are a songwriter or you're not a songwriter, and I'm not a songwriter. I'm a singer, but I don't see it as any anything pejorative. It's, to me, it's an equal thing.
Well, yeah, I think it's a case of if it intermeshes for you, right, correctly.
And Sandra takes a lead role in production as well, because in my mind, writing a song is only like a third of it. You know, 2/3 of it is welding musicians together, is looking at the arrangement, harmonies, and the whole feel of it. You know, and we spend a lot of time in the studio working on all that side of it.
I've got a very good ear. You know, I've got classical training, as I said before, vocally, and you know, I'm very, very particular, very precise in the studio about the sounds that I'm trying to get.
You hear all sorts of things I just don't hear.
Yeah.
It's great. Do that.
I'm sitting on Steve's side of the table here.
But it really, I think you have to be. Well, I think if you're like that in the studio, you will produce something that's a lot better than if you weren't like that.
Yeah, and we have a sound engineer who also is a perfectionist and very creative guy, Carl, and the RRS Music, and that's great. You know, he's a part of the part of the
Carl
gang.
and I can work very well together on that basis.
And he'll spend hours, you know, just on a couple of lines. You know, it's great that he's got that patience and commitment.
I mean, it sounds to me like I think the best music comes from a teamwork, really, rather than individual. There's some great individual players, but the teamwork is really important.
Yeah, that's how we work with other musicians. We say to them, you know, you do your version of this, you know, use your imagination, use your creativity. We give some ideas, obviously, and a general steer, but we want them to come up with new things. And they'll say, oh, I've tried it this way. What do you think? You know, and from my point of view as a songwriter, I think, God, I'd never have thought of doing it.
We
like
don't want to
that,
stifle them
rhythm
too much, you know, and really like the Songcatcher album that's coming out next year, probably in the summer, as I was saying. I mean, that album wouldn't be that album without them doing what they're doing. The songs would just be completely different.
Yeah, definitely.
So, in your music, to me, there's quite a sort of strong social commentary, or sometimes a subtle social commentary. How important? I mean, am I reading this correctly?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that need changing out there, and as an act, I think we feel we're part of a movement for change. But equally, I must say, I'm not very keen on heavy-handed protest songs. I don't think it wins hearts and minds. So our approach is often to use humour and satire. Some of it comes from people like Noel Coward, who certainly lyric-wise wasn't in any way very radical, but you know, great satire. I mean, just tremendous, you know, to use that sort of musical background. So yeah, we do songs with a bite. Often, quite a lot of our songs have some sort of theme to them, and equally, we want them to be entertaining, powerful. And they're not all funny. Some are, you know, got a song about refugees.
Yes, social justice issues, humanitarian issues are very important to us, both of us, and always have been throughout our lives. So I suppose, you know, now we're doing this together, those values are just going to be there, and they're going to come pour through us, which they do. And so, yes, there's a lot of social content in what we do, but as Steve says, we don't push it down anybody's throats, because the music's quite light often in its way of expressing that. But that's one of the reasons as well that we've used what we do to, for instance, make money for people for causes that need money, like Leeds food banks, because it's important to both of us that we try to help make changes,
take action,
and respond to things in a practical and positive way rather than do nothing.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. So, have you got any gigs coming up?
Yeah, we've actually got mini tours lined up for next summer. We hope they'll happen. Some of them have been postponed from a year ago or even 2 years ago. Yeah, we're starting hopefully in late January in Lincoln at a very nice village hall venue. and we'll be in Edinburgh and some gigs in Scotland in the summer, and we're heading for Bristol, aren't we?
That's
few gigs
right.
down there.
Bristol and down south, Tunbridge. Yeah, and London. We're looking very much to that Golden Hind,
So
that Golden Hind gig in April.
yeah, that
On the
sounds,
ship.
sounds exciting. That, yeah.
Yes,
I know.
it will be.
I think that's going to be lovely.
Yeah, we have performed in the past. We went to Australia for a mini tour. Well, it's quite a long tour actually. A couple of years ago, we were there 6 weeks. We've been to the States twice performing, including New Orleans, which was exciting at the Folk Alliance conference that they have somewhere in the States every year. And we hired a car and drove up the Delta.
Yeah.
Did a Little Rock, and we've played in New York and so on. So we hope to go back to the States and
I'm
Australia
sure we'll
again.
go back to the
Yeah,
to
it's just
Australia and
when,
the States.
just when is the issue.
Yeah, traveling is quite difficult at the moment, isn't it? I mean, that's yeah.
And doesn't look like it's going to open up just at the moment.
No, we're really
Not this winter, I don't think. Not this winter. So yeah, that's great. Have you got any gigs around here in the near future? So that
we have a gig in Halifax on March the 5th.
Right, March the 5th in Halifax. Yeah,
that's right. So you could.
So
if anybody's interested, again, if you go to skinnerandtwitch.com and go to the live section, all the details are on there, and that's the nearest gig that we have, I think, over in upcoming. Yeah.
And if anybody wants to get in touch, we'd love to do more.
Absolutely, yes.
We play more abroad than we do in West Yorkshire, so we'd love to play more.
But to be honest, we're not seeking. We'd love to play more gigs around here, but the gigs that we've got, the number of gigs that we've got suits us.
Yeah.
We're not trying to have 20 gigs a month. It's not really what we're doing, not what we're up to. It's the Black Dyke Mills Heritage Venue, actually. I should say it's more Bradford than Halifax, so it's quite local.
Yeah. Well, Halifax isn't bad. I've gone to a gig in Halifax, and certainly gone to the theatre in Halifax. Yeah.
I think it's edge of Bradford, isn't it, where we play.
That's right. So come along, folks, and say hello.
Great to see you.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. So March, Halifax, folks. So okay. Thanks very much for coming along. I've been really enjoyed that chat. But I think we need to sign off now. And we're going to sign off with one last track, which is...
It's Nelson's Brew, and I'm looking forward to singing this one on the Golden Hind because it's perfectly suited to it. Yeah. Nelson's Brew is a folk song. I don't know whether anybody knows that. Nelson's Blood, should I say, is the folk song that has inspired
the shanty.
It's inspired this. And there's a couple of things about this song. First of all, my ancestors there were two little Twitchets on the HMS Victory at the Battle of Trafalgar. They were powder monkeys, and they had the very dangerous job of bringing the powder from below up to the cannon. And those two boys are featured. They're kind of the heart of this song. And the other thing is my dad was obsessed with Nelson, and we found out that these two boys only about 5 years ago we found out that these boys were ancestors of ours.
Incredible.
And it was amazing to discover that. And also, I don't know whether people know, but Nelson was brought back from Trafalgar in a vat of alcohol, spiced alcohol. And the story goes that the men used to take a nip of the alcohol out of respect for Nelson. But, on our honeymoon a few years ago, I read Christopher Hibbert's Life of Nelson, as you do. And it was saying that Nelson was under armed guard, in truth, but that the guys probably did that after he was removed from the vat.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, nice.
They didn't wear hygiene in those days.
No, I mean, it's sterilised. It's a good sterilising agent, isn't it, alcohol?
Yeah. But, what lovely raw material to use for a song.
Yeah, absolutely.
The shanty is a drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm.
We kind of adapted that for our
Yeah.
version.
That's great. So thanks very much indeed. And I hope to see you.
Thank you.
Come on.
In Halifax if I'm around. And
Great.
here's Nelson's Brew.
Two brothers Twitchett, Tommy and me, powder monkeys on the Victory, heading where the end of the world will be, gypsies of the sea. 'Cause we're young, don't think we're raw, been a climbing on the rigging before, but we never set sail from England's shore to fight a war. Haul, haul as the timbers sway, who will live or die today? Haul, haul as the timbers sway, as she takes the waves. Boom, boom as the guns explode, running quick for a fast reload. Smoke and blood and sparks all round, screams as the ships go down. We headed for the French line sideways on, split them in two with the firing strong. That's how the battle of the day was done, that's how Trafalgar was won. Haul, haul as the timbers sway, who will live or die today? Haul, haul as the timbers sway, as she takes the waves. In the midst of the bangs and the cannon's roar, old Nelson lying on the floor, with a smile on his lips and his men by his side. That's how Nelson died. We put him in a barrel with the brandy best, put him in a barrel to keep him fresh, put him in a barrel with the brandy best, and sailed to the west. We put him in a barrel with the brandy best, put him in a barrel to keep him fresh, put him in a barrel with the brandy best, and sailed to the west. Haul, haul as the timbers sway, who will live or die today? Haul, haul as the timbers sway, as she takes the waves. So take a swig of Nelson's brew, drink to the souls of the men we knew, drink to the dead of the French side too, down in the deep, deep blue. So take a swig of Nelson's brew, drink to the souls of the men we knew, drink to the dead of the French side too, down in the deep, deep blue. Two brothers Twitchett, Tommy and me, powder monkeys on the Victory, wishing for a world where never will be war upon the sea.